Hey guys, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with healthyblackwoman.com. This is my good friend Shaquita Graham with techoweb.com. How you doing, Shaquita?
I'm doing good, Noma. This is an interesting topic.
So let me jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen here and tell you a little bit about the story. So it's about a young woman who is a college student, and she says she only dates men with 700 plus credit scores. I just want to caution you, it's not as bad as it sounds, okay? So she's a young black female college student who stays in Brooklyn, New York, and she says that she's currently a graduate student in Miami. She recently did an interview where she said that I only date guys with high credit scores. Which she said her own score is above 800, and she won't date a man with a credit score below 700. So to the over here says the story behind why she's saying that. She's actually on a path to financial security and her path towards financial security and personal responsibility began when she was 16 years old. And when it comes down to dating men, she says her potential lover has to have a credit score on the that she asks about on the fourth date. Some might say she's wrong for that, but she definitely has her reasons, which she says is grounded in strong family values. Quote, she says, I was raised in a family of professionals who keep their finances in check and taught me how to handle my money. She also says, I have no student loans and I can already take care of myself financially. I need a man who can take care of himself too. So Shaquita, what do you think?
Okay, so listen, I get it. You know, choosing a mate is an important decision, and there's a lot of things you need to consider. However, it's also important to prioritize the weight that we place on various attributes that we're looking at when we're judging a mate. So meaning things like a credit score can change, but things like character usually don't. Now, is credit score an indication of character? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And I would lean more towards it isn't. So I think that fine, have standards, but at the same time, leave room for growth. There's something that you and your potential mate are going to have to build together. There are some things about you, Miss Thing, that he's going to have to compromise on. And, you know, perfection just doesn't come in a human package. So you need to understand that as well when you're making these decisions.
You know, I think that I kind of agree with you. I think that she has the right idea, but it may be a little too rigid in the sense that you do want to be married to a partner who is a good steward of what he has, who, you know, you mentioned character, who is a person who's responsible, is thinking about the future, makes responsible decisions. And I've said it before, I believe that as a man, especially if you're going to take on a wife and kids, it's your responsibility to protect and to provide for your family. So she's questioning, you know, can a man who can't even manage his own credit score, you know, be entrusted to be the leader of that family and their financial future? So she has a point. However, like you said, you know, a credit score is something that could be bad one day. You give it, you know, 2-3 years of dedicated action and making good decisions, and it can change. I do think that the two are tied together. I also think that we need to consider that one of the things that tear marriages apart are finances. You can't escape that. All the research, all the, you know, information you have out there about what tends to affect marriage is when the finances are bad, or when two people, even when their finances are not bad, they can't agree about how to manage their finances. So it's definitely a big thing. The positive part of it is I like the fact that she's being very mindful of her future and her future husband. On the downside, I think she should focus on the bigger picture rather than a rigid number.
Yeah, I think I like the way that you said all of that. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, and then when I'm talking about character, because that's a vague word sometimes these days. And when I used to think about a mate, I thought about a person who can do who will do right even when they can do wrong. That's an invaluable trait to have. Now is a 700. I mean, I'm not the materialistic type, although I believe in making good money. And that's why, I do a techoweb.com and I talk about 6-figure careers in technology. So yeah, I'm for making great money. But when it comes to sizing up a person, you just need to put that in the right category. I do understand that marriages fall apart because of finances. You also need to understand the racial climate that we're in. And as a team, you trade strengths for weaknesses. So I do think that the racial climate is such that Black women, have more of an opportunity in a corporate landscape. Not to say this woman, she said that she's been preparing since she was 16 and all of that. So I'm not saying it's just because she's a Black woman. She also put effort into it, and I understand not wanting to risk that. But at the same time, you might bring some strengths to the table, which could be the credit score. And you may bring some weaknesses, which we don't know what they are, but we know you've got them. And then he may bring other things to the table. But together, the two of you are making it. You're winning. You're doing that thing. And that's what I think people should focus on, because, again, it's a team effort, and, life, I'll say again, is a team sport. All those people who are out there talking about not getting married and things like that, you need to understand that you have a lot of benefits available to you when you have a 2-family household. If you're out there sexing and all of those types of things, it's great to have monogamy in play. But, again, I think we've said it, I think that she just needs to prioritize that and have some flexibility, and keep in mind that, especially when choosing a mate, a lot of times you don't even know what's best for you. It sneaks up on you and you're like, oh, wow, who would have thought?
Right. Just to piggyback on what you're saying, there is more to it that brings a couple together, and it takes more than just finances for the marriage to thrive, to build a family, to build a legacy, and to even build wealth. There's some people who have a lot of money, but they're the worst kind of people to deal with.
Yes.
And then there's some people who maybe don't do that well with managing money, but they actually do have character, and they're kind and generous, nurturing, all kinds of things. So I hear what you're saying, absolutely, and co-sign it and agree with it. The one caveat that I will say is that I think sometimes people talk about, nothing else matters and love and all this other stuff. And that's all very well and good, but there is a practical element to life. If you're a princess and you lived in a nice castle or whatever, even if you love the beggar from next door and you think love will carry you and all that, there is a reality to the fact that when that bubble pops, and it always does, it's just a natural progression of relationships, is you have the high and the honeymoon phase where you barely notice anything because you're so quote unquote in love. But there comes the next phase where you start to deal with the reality of your circumstances. And I think that, yes, we do need to kind of be more flexible with who we're dealing with. But at the same time, you do need to be mindful of, who you are and what you can stand and what your circumstances are going to be in the future. And again, I would just reiterate that a lot of people's marriages fall apart because they just couldn't get that money thing right. And another person is just like, I can't do it, and I have to get out of here to preserve myself, which is sad, but it is the reality.
Just my hesitancy in it is, again, when you're going into something like a marriage, nobody can guarantee good times all the time.
Right.
Score is 800, but let you get in a car accident and be in a coma for 2 years, or things happen. Not to say that, what I'm just saying is life can be unpredictable. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you have to understand that your circumstances are not always going to be the same. I think about the story of Pursuit of Happiness, where the guy, he was struggling. They were trying to build a business together. It just went south. He seemed like a guy who had been trying. Then eventually he got on a roll and got his brokerage together, a stock brokerage company. So yeah, there are things you can see.
Just to interject, and she didn't hang around long enough to bear those fruits,
Right, exactly. Yeah. And the thing is that I'm not saying that there are not signs that you should pay attention to. There are not red flags, but it's just, I think we're both saying get somewhere in the middle of moderation. Just because a person doesn't have a 700 credit score doesn't mean you're doomed to a life of poverty. And you definitely shouldn't be looking to go into a relationship where it's obvious that this person may be doomed to a life of poverty.
Right.
At the same time, nobody can guarantee that you're going to be rich forever or rich because you have a 700 credit score.
Right.
So again, when you're looking at doing life together, you have to factor in so many things. The first thing I would look at is the character of this person, because when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you don't want to be sleeping with the enemy, whether he's got a 700 credit score, 800 credit score, $1 million in the bank. If you're sleeping with the enemy, that's a problem.
Right. Very well put, Shaquita. So there you have it, guys. Find the middle ground. And I just want to say thank you to you, Shaquita, for joining me. It's always great talking to you about these hot topics.
Absolutely.
And you can find Shaquita at techoweb.com. I'm, of course, Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses. You can find me at successfulblackwoman.com. Just want to remind you guys that we'll be in Atlanta in 3 weeks at the All Black Convention. And we'll have more information about how you can get in touch with us. We're planning to have something interesting or something fun where you can meet us, maybe over drinks, maybe a little Q&A, maybe a meet and greet, something like that. I'm sure between the two of us, we'll come up with something, so we'll keep you updated. Thank you guys for watching. And again, thank you, Shaquita.
Thank you.